I just wanted to make a quick video talking about a conversation I had on the comment section here on a YouTube video. And in the YouTube video, they were showing like a post from someone who said, "Is this a human life?" And they posted a picture of a pig embryo, but someone ignorant of the situation said, "Yes, it is." And then the person who posted the picture immediately said something along the lines of like, "How?" or "It's a pig embryo," basically making fun of the person not realizing the difference, and I guess using that to belittle the position that an embryo is of value. Because if you can't tell the distinction, then how can you argue? But that in and of itself, and reading some of the comments, made me say, man, I really just want to make a post about it, something simple. So I replied with, "That's pretty funny, although I wonder, if an embryo isn't human, what is it? It has a unique human DNA. Sentience is just the capacity to experience negative or positive emotion, pain or comfort, and emotions are natural instincts separate from intellect or sense of self. Babies don't develop sense of self or intellect until around a year old. When did any of us become human then? If I can't breathe on my own, am I not human? If I am in a coma, am I not human? If I am brain dead, am I not human? Is my humanity genetic or circumstantial? Do I cease to be a human if I lose any of my human characteristics? Is it about having had those characteristics? What if people born without some of those things? What is a human?" And this person, we'll get to that reply in a second, and this person's reply was pretty well stated. And that's kind of the reason why I wanted to post this video, because I like good conversation. I like being able to have good dialogue and no one being rude or anything, and just being able to express their beliefs and why they believe the thing they believe and defend it. So this person says human embryos are human in terms of species. No one argued against that. Rather, that there is a difference in value of life between a human that has been born, developed a context of mortality and relationships, and one that has not. And I feel like that's a pretty simple concept to understand. Not only are the instances you mentioned treated differently at times, but abortion is also not the only instance in which human life is subject to danger. Perfectly healthy adults can die in wars, and euthanasia is permitted in certain countries, all in spite of having unique human DNA. What I would like to ask you, because I am genuinely curious as to what your perspective is what makes this unique unborn DNA so vitally important that every instance of it must be preserved? Why is the line drawn here? In my response, it's a little long, but I'm going to try to go through it quickly. Pardon me if I have any slip-ups as I speak. The issue with value based on experience is, but not limited to, newborns. They miss the mark in a lot of distinctions you mentioned to denote value: sense of mortality and relationships. A sense of self isn't present in newborns. Understanding they can die or will die doesn't begin until well after. Complex relationships are not present for years. Basic relationships like connecting to sounds of voices begins in the womb. Although I do understand the premise of a purely value-based concept, it seems to have led down a bad path historically. I think that intentionally ending someone's life who is not already dying, having no other possible solution, because of an individual's day-to-day psychological state isn't good practice. An example of would-be killing elderly people to make space for younger people isn't okay. However, if it was a situation of long-term value for a limited resource, like a heart transplant, then I believe a value-based decision based on potential, in that case, could make sense. Not always, of course. A young drug-addicted violent actor may carry less potential than the 60-year-old sober individual. I extend the same to abortion. In the extreme minority, life-threatening situations are a logical exception. Most people would agree. If both individuals will die, what good is there in allowing such a situation? However, the vast majority of cases presented are based on inconvenience, and I would consider those to be inexcusable. If we draw the line in the way that it seems you may be alluding to, we run the risk of greenlighting historically bad practices and or new, far more troublesome ideas. I have heard people say that individuals with ASD would be better off dead, or it would be a service to end their misery. As an educator of that population, I have seen the joy of life, the struggles as well, and can't greenlight that sort of thing. I'm not saying that the next step from abortion, but that some of the language tends towards that sort of thing. And then I also said, I also want to thank you for not being rude and having a willingness to engage in good conversation. It's honestly hard to come by these days without someone calling you names. And then I'll go back. This person replied, I didn't get any other reply. I think the BS censorship system flagged your response. Take all the time you need if you feel like rewriting it. It's the third time this week someone has tried to respond about this exact topic and had their reply deleted. But regardless, I feel you, man. It's hard to have an honest conversation on this platform without being called names. Thank you in advance also for your willingness to discuss. When I initially saw your comment, I was so surprised by how well it was written that I thought it must be copied from somewhere. It's too eloquent for the average YouTube commenter to come up with, which I'm like, okay, thank you. I take it as a compliment. But it is frustrating, though, that a lot of people are experiencing what it seems like it's happening now, because like when I go to the reply section, even under my own comment that I initially left, I don't see this comment. So for whatever reason, I don't know what's happening with YouTube, but it's being strange. So like if you see, like if I click the replies, it's supposed to show every reply, including that one, but that one doesn't show up. So it just makes me look like I'm talking to myself when I respond to it again. So that's kind of my issue with it. I think that's kind of been a frustrating thing with YouTube lately. Don't know if it's like an intentional thing and I get that, there's an algorithm running most of it, but human beings are the ones that put the variables in place for the algorithm to work, and they can always tweak and adjust it. That much they've admitted to, including the Google CEO, Alphabet, CEO of Alphabet, but still. So I feel like that's kind of been frustrating. That's the reason why I wanted to make the video, was because one, I enjoy good open conversation where people can have constructive talks and state what they believe and why they believe what they believe. If you can't really defend it, then it's probably not a good position to have if you truly have no clue why you believe what you believe. And this is a biblical principle too. Like if someone asks me, why do I believe what I believe? I should have an answer available and that I can espouse to them as to why I believe what I believe and why I know what I believe to be true. So that's what I thought was great about it. And I hope to have more conversations like this. So I've been posting a ton in like comment sections left and right, just trying to have good, honest dialogue with people and get people's minds, kind of turning on things. Just saying, well, hey, if you believe this, start asking yourself, to what extent do you believe what you say? And then hopefully by engendering, a conversation and a thought, to fly around in the brain, then maybe they'll either switch their position or at least get to a point of saying, hey, like, I respect what you have to say, and I'm not going to treat you like crap because we differ. So that's kind of the hope. But yeah, thank you for watching the video, and like and subscribe. Hopefully I can make more of these as I post more things in comments and make other videos about other topics going on. But anyhow, have a good day.